With the transfer portal closing last Friday, let's check out how those Sun Belt teams ranked. It's Locked On Sun Belt.
You are Locked On Sun Belt, your daily podcast on the Sun Belt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sun Belt, your teams every day. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. All right, Coastal Carolina and Southern Miss getting more preseason love. They were ranked again in a top 25 poll, and JMU and UCF Trade quarterbacks found something special out about the incoming JMU quarterback. He's got a famous father. All right, let's talk about these transfer portal rankings because it looks like Billy Napier, I don't know if he got a slow start, but certainly bringing some guys in with JMU. And he is atop the rankings if we're using the 24/7 rankings. So take that for what it's worth. I know Nick Saban had said something about these rankings. If you don't think Nick Saban knew exactly where his Alabama team ranked, you're kidding yourself. He's got a great sense of humor, but he knew exactly where they ranked. All right, in terms of team rankings in the Sun Belt for transfer portal, James Madison has 26 commits, all of them 3-star, or 15 of them 3 stars. They are number one. All right, Arkansas State, they don't have nearly as many, but they have a lot of quality guys because they got 14 commits, and they're second in the conference. Usually, this is a combination of quality and quantity, and sometimes quantity outweighs quality, but not here for Arkansas State. They have almost half as many as James Madison. They got less than half as Georgia State. Georgia State's got 31 commits coming in. 31. They're third. All right. So that's going to go with their number one recruiting class coming into this past season, and now a pretty good transfer portal class. App State has 35 commits. 35 commits. As far as App State has, they had 41 outgoing transfers. I mean, that is a huge turnover. My goodness, that is big. Coastal Carolina, Ryan Beard, he's actually doing pretty well over the last few weeks. He's got 11 commits. Old Dominion has 8. Southern Miss has 20. All right, so that's Charles Huff. Marshall, Tony Gibson, 23. I probably should say that I'm doing this in order, right? So James Madison's number 1, Arkansas State 2, Georgia State 3, App State 4, Coastal Carolina is 5th with only 11 commits. That's impressive. Old Dominion is 6th with only 8 commits. So Old Dominion's 8 commits rank higher than Southern Miss's 20 commits. Just saying. Marshall has 23 commits. They're 8th. Georgia Southern, 8 commits. They're 9th. South Alabama just seems to be getting crushed in the transfer portal. They have 10 commits. And one of their defensive linemen, again, I'm old, twin brothers Thomas, is coming to Kentucky, as it turns out. South Alabama, 28 outgoing transfers. They have 10. All right. Now, part of this, let me finish up the rankings here. All right. Troy has 4, and Monroe only has 3. Although Monroe didn't lose that many. They only had 15 transfers coming out, so that's not bad. I'm not sure how many Troy had going out. Let's see what Troy's got. 4 incoming transfers. They still had 23 outgoing transfers. That's a pretty good number. All right. So when I do say, and when everybody says the transfer portal is closed, that means going into the portal. Although the guys who played in last night's ball game, Indiana and Miami, they get a few more days if they want to. But we saw guys like Oregon had some guys leaving and still played, and some others did not. So the transfer portal is closed going in, but you can come out at any point in time. It was reported today, somebody, that these guys thought they were going to get better offers elsewhere, and then they're trying to go back home, and either their position was taken or there's no more money to give. I mean, these agents, I don't know if you can sue these agents, but I'm not sure what they're going to be able to prove, but be looking for that one just to prevent these kids from being told the wrong thing. And on a side note for all this, before it's not much Sun Belt, but the former Duke QB Darian Mensah, who was the former Tulane quarterback, apparently he's going to go to Miami. We'll see what happens. If he cashes in for $7 to $10 million, is he an NFL quarterback? Did he have that great of a year? Right? They lost 5 games. I know he was. They won the ACC because what happened. Actually, he had a pretty good year. He had almost 4,000 yards. Yeah, 34 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. He had a pretty good year. Yeah, they still lost a bunch of ball games. He did throw it 500 times. So yeah, he had a pretty good season. Yeah. We'll get back to the Sun Belt here in a second. I want to see what do we think his stats were? What did he throw at Tulane? At Tulane, he threw it 2,700 yards. Same completion percentage, just about same completion. He threw it almost twice as much. 287 attempts for Tulane, 500 attempts for Duke. Wow. All right. 22 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, 34 touchdowns, 6 interceptions for Duke. So, all right. He had a good year, and he's going to get well compensated. I don't know if he's a pro quarterback, though. Stands 6'3", 205. All right, so he's got some size. All right, anyways. So these guys can go back. You can come out of the portal at any time. Just can't go in it. So everybody, no new players can go in it except the 2 teams that are playing, who played last night. All right. And so we'll see because guys can keep on coming. All right. JMU keeps on signing people. South Alabama keeps on signing people. Cajuns seem to be struggling signing people. Do we say who the Cajuns did? Where were the Cajuns? The Cajuns are not on this list. Someone else is missing from this list too. Oh, well, no, the Cajuns are not on this list. How about that? Is that right? The Cajuns haven't, according to 24/7, they have not signed any guys recruiting. There's only 13 because we're still waiting for La Tech. But the Cajuns haven't signed, according to 24/7, and that's not true. I know they have. Jamarcus Fitzpatrick has been doing a great job in Lafayette covering that. So, but let me see overall rank. It says they rank 175. Have they gotten anybody? Let me see here. That could be for last year. Oh, no. It doesn't say they have anybody. Oh, hold on a second. Let me see. 175. They are not listed on the Sun Belt page. And oddly enough, the transfer football portal rankings goes down to 172, and that's it. Mercyhurst has 1 commit. They're last. West Georgia has 2 commits. They're 172 with Idaho and Mercyhurst. There's nobody ranked under them. All right. The Cajuns are not on this list. Holy cow. All right. Well, that was a little bit shocking. So they are having trouble securing players to come to the portal, but that's just on that list. I know Jamarcus Fitzpatrick has had some players come on there, but I did find that a little bit surprising. So we'll see how this goes. So remember, but JMU is 1. Arkansas State is 2. Georgia State is 3. I probably should take a picture of this as it stands. It's Monday night, but into Tuesday, the 20th, and then see where it changes as spring ball approaches, because we'll see if a couple of these change. All right. So that's where we are. All right. But as it turns out, JMU and UCF trade quarterbacks. And with UCF, we could have done the UFC. Talk about that right after I tell you about Game Time. The Game Time app is the best app to find tickets for difficult events to get into, whether it be sporting events, concerts, comedy, whatever you're looking for. It's an incredibly easy app to use. I like Game Time because it gives the advantage back to fans. It's the easiest way to unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few tabs. You open up the Game Time app and look for upcoming events that you want to go to. And I was surprised how fast it was to find great seats. The app is incredibly easy to use. You can go from browsing to buying tickets in just minutes. Love being able to see where the seat is see the view from my seat before buying, so I know exactly what I was getting. And the zone deal stood out. You pick the section, Game Time picks the seats, and you save even more. Knowing prices include all fees up front makes the whole process stress-free. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets for sporting events, concerts, and comedy shows with Game Time. Download the Game Time app and create an account and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. So it turns out that UCF, and am I the only one who sometimes screws up that acronym? But in this case, it may be appropriate. And JMU trade quarterbacks. All right. Shortly after going into the portal, Alonzo Barnett III ends up at UCF. All right. So he goes down there. And then I guess it was Monday that the UCF quarterback, one of them anyways, Davi Belfort, ends up transferring to JMU. Davi Belfort is not the biggest of all guys, although well put together. 195 pounds, 5'11". We did have a Cuban quarterback starting in the national championship for Indiana. I'm not sure how many Brazilian quarterbacks we have playing college football. Probably plenty of Brazilians playing soccer in this country, but probably not too many as starting quarterbacks. Nonetheless, he has and he hasn't played all that much. Started out at Virginia Tech, did not play as a freshman in 2024. Redshirt freshman year in 2025, played in 6 ball games. He did rush it for 94 yards on 16 attempts, completed 4 of 6 passes for 53 yards and an interception. Made his college debut on October 18th in UCF's 45-13 victory over West Virginia. All right. Okay. However, his father, he was born in Sao Paulo, Brazil, and his father is Vitor Belfort. All right. Apparently, and I'm not the biggest of all UFC fans, but apparently he was a light heavyweight champion, if I could find this. He beat I thought in his 3rd fight with Randy Couture. All right. He beat him. So, yeah, this is from Wikipedia. His next fight was on January 31st, 2004, rematch with Randy Couture, UFC light heavyweight championship. Despite agonizing over his sister, Priscilla Belfort, who disappeared on January 9th, Vitor won the fight in 49 seconds after a seam from his glove caught Couture's eye, leaving Couture with a corneal abrasion that prompted a referee stoppage. 3rd match between the two took place on the 21st of 2004, August 21st, 2004. Couture won via doctor stoppage after the 3rd round, recapturing the title. So he did win the title in there. He lost 2 out of 3 to Couture. But he was a boxer. He only boxed twice and then came to this country, fought 41 times, had 26 wins, 18 by a knockout, 3 by submission, and 5 by decision. So Belfort's got not a whole lot of football experience with him, but certainly a lot of athleticism in his genes. And again, not the tallest of all guys, but 5'11", 195 is put pretty well together. We'll see if he is the starting quarterback for JMU. Let's see if JMU got any other quarterbacks. Let's see here. Again, they got 26. I think they did a really good job on their offensive and defensive lines. They did get Arrington Maiden. We did mention him. We mentioned Arrington Maiden. He's from Memphis, right? But I don't think he's played a whole lot either. All right. So that's two quarterbacks. And I think they still had a quarterback who redshirted last year who's probably going to step in and maybe be their starting quarterback this year. But they do have Davi Belfort, who brings some athleticism. Again, short, but good size. And we'll see if they push him. Remember, Alonzo Barnett III was not the tallest of all guys. He had some issues getting his throws batted down. But who did I hear also had was a tall guy, like 6'6", and he had issues getting his throws batted down. So that's a thing that you can change your arm motion and improve that, because obviously even Brady and Manning got their throws batted down once in a while, because it happens. All right, it happens all the time. All right, so we'll keep an eye on the transfer portal and the rankings and see where it goes from here. Now that it's basically closed of players going in, and again, plenty of players still to come out. So, Marriott, I'm going to have to go over that list of who the Cajuns got, because they are not on that 24/7 list. They have the goose egg according to them, but again, I don't believe that is the case. All right, let's take a timeout. We'll come right back and talk about Coastal Carolina and Southern Miss baseball getting some more preseason love. We'll do that after I tell you about the Everydayer Club. All right, this is a great opportunity for you to sign up to maximize your time with the Everydayer Club. All right, we need to thank you for making Locked On Sunbelt your first listen of the day, and thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your Sunbelt team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Sunbelt with no interruptions, members only, and more. All for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Go to lockedonsunbelt.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. And I did check. The link is in there. Maybe not specifically to Sunbelt, but you'll find your way there. It's just another click. So that lockedonpodcast.com/everydayer is in the notes, and click on that and you'll find your way. If you want to subscribe, again, small fee of $5 to save you from the ads, and $50 for the year. It is sincerely appreciated. And we're doing a little bit better already. We're almost at 2880 in terms of subscribers. I mean, now we got to get 120 subscribers in 3 weeks. All right, so we need to pick the game up. Let's go, folks. We want 3,000 subscribers before baseball starts February 13th. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. We are less than a month before baseball throws the first pitch. I was going to say kicks off. And once again, preseason rankings have come out. The highest for Coastal Carolina, anyways, was D1's baseball. They got Coastal Carolina 6th. That means they think they're going to be a national seed. That's awesome. All right. Southern Miss was 20. That may be their high as well, actually. They're somewhere in that 20 to 25 range. All right. Southern Miss won 47 ball games last year. Coastal won 56, losing their last 2. And so that's D1 baseball. Baseball America came out on Monday, and they had Coastal Carolina at 11, so just outside of a national seed, but still hosting. All right, and I'll just read you what Baseball America said. Coastal Carolina in 2025 authored our historic season under first-year head coach Kevin Schnall, longtime Gary Gilmore lieutenant who stepped seamlessly into the role. Schnall set a new single-season wins record, opened the NCAA tournament with 8 consecutive victories, and finished with 56, the most ever by a first-year Division I head coach. He capped that run by becoming the first coach to earn National Coach of the Year honors in his inaugural season. The success was not fleeting. Coastal returns core contributors on both sides of the ball from a roster built to control games, particularly on the mound. Obviously, my addition, Cam Flukie is coming back. All right. They do mention that if you read the whole preview, which is available on baseballamerica.com, they do obviously trying to replace Caden Bodine is going to be big. Southern Miss comes in at 23. All right. Southern Miss has become one of the sport's most dependable operations. Regular season dominance followed by postseason presence is not an exception, but an expectation. A standard Christian Ostrander has maintained through his first 2 seasons. Now entering year 3, Ostrander again fields a roster built to withstand attrition, returning enough core talent to offset notable draft losses without compromising identity. Southern Miss rarely relies on reinvention. Instead, it leans on internal development, leadership, and roster balance to keep its place among the nation's steadiest programs. All right. So Southern Miss 23, that means Southern Miss is going to have to do some work if they are going to host, according to Baseball America. And obviously these are fleeting and there'll be injuries and all kinds of different things, as this is, again, a month away and it's coming up fast. All right. It is going to come up fast. Obviously, the season started. Season will start, 4 weeks from this past Friday. But looking forward to it. We'll see if Troy can figure out not to have the late season swoon. We'll see if anybody else can step up. Mike Silva with Arkansas State after year 1. He had them going in the right direction, and new stadium improvements are helping out. Ford Pemberton, new coach at ULM. We'll see how they do. Can Matt Daggs get the Cajuns back on the winning path? From my understanding, it doesn't appear that way, that the pitching could be an issue for the Cajuns. But we'll see. So usually there are, 3 or 4 teams that can go from the Sun Belt. And so we'll see if anyone else can step up. Can JMU step up? What about Old Dominion? Marshall had a ridiculous up and down season last year, right? And so all these early season games are really important to set yourself up, because some of them are not. Some are against some top competition, top 50 competition, and others are not. And so you lose a bad game early on for whatever reason. Maybe their Friday night pitcher just was really good that night. And it could cost you later on in the season, as ridiculous as it sounds, right? So whereas, we talked about Troy in the net ratings not being very high because they're not playing Power 4 schools all the time. And so when I mentioned that last year with Southern Miss, could miss the NCAA tournament, all they had to do was go on a 17-game winning streak. That's why, like the SEC, which I followed a bunch because I was in Lafayette and LSU was down the road. And it's not important for LSU to sweep, or any SEC team sweep. It's important to win 2 out of 3. That can be detrimental to the Sun Belt teams if you're losing to bad team. If you lose one game, like you would think winning 2 out of 3 would be good, but your net ranking is going to go down if that opponent is ranked 150th or 200, right? It's not going to be good, right? You can beat them twice, but if you lose once, you're in bad shape. So that's why some of these games, the first month of the season is really important to get off to a good start, to set yourself up where if you do lose a ball game to a conference team, it is not the end of the world, where because you made up for it because you beat some better teams in the preseason. So hopefully that's the case. All right, we'll see, because this is the baseball, and it's not softball usually. Usually softball maybe gets 1 or 2 in. All right, usually doesn't get more than 1 in. Usually gets a Sun Belt champion, and that's usually it. Not always. Usually the Sun Belt champion was the Cajuns, And then does Texas State get in or South Alabama get in? I guess they've had a couple. They usually get, you're right, they usually get 2 or 3 in. But baseball is really the one sport where the Sun Belt can compete. All right. I thought they handled themselves well against LSU. They did. I mean, obviously LSU's pitching is very good. They did not get blown out in either ball game. And they went into Auburn and beat the Auburn Tigers. All right. And Auburn is ranked very highly this year as well. So we'll see what happens, right? Remember, Florida went in to Conway and played so poorly they didn't even get a chance to take down Coastal Carolina. So we'll see what happens this year. Thinking that it will be a little bit, and they may lose, whomever, Sunbelt may lose to a Power 4 squad, but it doesn't mean they don't belong. It's a little bit different in baseball because, as we know, everybody has a Friday night pitcher. And in Coastal Carolina's case, and probably Southern Miss's case, they probably have a Friday and Saturday pitcher, just like these SEC teams do. All right. Although for the longest time, and it's not been the case lately, when I covered them, the reason they didn't win one when I covered them, they ended up losing to Florida. LSU did not have a Sunday pitcher. That was a problem for a long time. They had a Friday and Saturday pitcher, but did not have that third pitcher. And when you get into a tournament spot, depth is important. So Southern Miss has that depth. Coastal Carolina has that depth, and it should be a fun season. We'll see who else has that depth, who can step up and make a run towards the NCAA tournament. Because again, it's only going to be one team in probably the men's and women's NCAA basketball tournament, whereas softball and baseball, the Sun Belt can have, between the two, almost a handful of teams playing in the NCAA tournament. And I think that's pretty cool. And a lot of times those teams can, go on to the super regional. It is not an automatic that you lose. And in fact, Southern Miss got taken down by Columbia. I know they lost to Louisville, but the reason they lost to Louisville is because they lost to Columbia. That was the bad game. They just couldn't get a hit against Louisville. It was just every time Louisville needed a clutch base hit, they got one. And every time Southern Miss got somebody on base, they just hit into a line drive double play or ground ball double play, hit it on the nose, but just couldn't get that clutch base hit. All right. Let me know what you guys think. Please leave a comment. Let me know what you think about the transfer portal. We do have a famous son of a UFC champion. I think I got that right. A UFC champion who used to play for UCF. That's not going to screw me up. That's got Walker Howard and Howard Walker written all over it. So let me know what you think about that. We'll talk more basketball. Only one basketball game on Wednesday, Troy and Old Dominion, and the rest play on Thursday. So we will do a little bit on that as well. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. You've been watching Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. Have a great Tuesday, everybody. We'll talk to you again on Wednesday.